Moved again. It did. What'd you think of that tree, Dad?
Oh, it put up a fight.
Yes, it did. The first rule of using a Sawzall is make sure that whatever you're Sawzalling doesn't fall on you. I'm not sponsored by DeWalt. Oh, if I was, that would be pretty awesome. Hey there, yo folks. So work with me Wednesday and we've got a lot of work to do. You may be wondering where I'm standing. Well, I'm in the back pasture in a grove of what we initially thought were young maple trees, but it turns out they're not young maple trees. They're an invasive species. Let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. They're an invasive species called sweet gum. Jim from Two Turtles Homestead was here and he told us about them. You can tell because they have these little pods surrounding them. The thing about sweet gum is, yes, it's very invasive and it takes over an area. I don't think this sweet gum was here 10 years ago. It sweeps over and it's already captured maybe half an acre here. But the thing about sweet gum is that it's actually really good hardwood, or so I've been told. One of the things that I want to do is start using this wood for infrastructure. We're in the back pasture and Dad's clearing some land back there. I'll talk to him in a minute, but start using this wood for infrastructure. So notably, I've got that roost that I want to make for my meat chickens in the barn. That's a project I want to get to here very soon. So why not cut a lot of kind of thin logs like this and use them for various infrastructure projects? There's this kind of thing, maybe a little bit thinner, but I could use it for a lot of different things. And there's an embarrassment of riches in terms of thin wood saplings that are still alive and the wood's still hard and the wood's still good that I can just go ahead and use for my own infrastructure projects. So I think I'm gonna cut down some of these because I want to build that roost. But before I do, let's chat with Dad real quick and see how he's coming along with the clearing back here.
I want to get it as cleared out as possible before attacking this.
The tree itself.
Yeah, it has seen better days.
Yeah, it's ugly.
Yeah, there were a number of limbs that had already broken off and were either on the ground or just hanging off of other limbs. I've kind of piled them up over there. Yeah, that's the plan for today.
Do you think you're gonna knock this one down today or just finish the brush around it?
No, I think we'll be able to knock that one down.
Oh, that's exciting.
And then, cutting it up into manageable size pieces. The last major tree that had fallen down over in this area,
Yep.
That one I just cut up into smaller chunks and moved over into an area that we're just, I don't think we're going to be using
stuff.
it. Yeah.
I've taken a lot of inspiration from my friend Sang at Growing Little Country Homestead. If you haven't checked out his channel, I'd highly suggest that you do. One of the first things that really stood out to me when I started watching his channel a couple years back was he would just take found wood pieces. Sometimes he'd cut them down, sometimes he'd just find twigs and sticks that had been lying around, and he would make these beautiful pieces of garden infrastructure out of them. And I saw that and I was like, man, this guy is somebody to keep an eye on. And so in the spirit of Sang, I was like, you know what? I've got all this stuff, why not use it? I'll need a little bit of cleanup, obviously, but the thing that you want to check for when you get these pieces is that they're alive still, they're springy, they won't break, and that they're of adequate length and girth. By the way, I can't say enough good things about this little electric chainsaw, this DeWalt electric chainsaw. The battery, I swear this battery's been at 3 bars, full bars, for like a week now, and we've been using it a lot. I'm not sponsored by DeWalt. Oh, if I was, that would be pretty awesome. Perfect for my purposes. Exactly what I need. Now look at that, guys. For my application, roosting bar, this is absolutely perfect. You know, I'll cut it maybe right there, somewhere up there. slide a couple of these rungs between two, I don't know, 2x4s, and that's a perfect little roosting stage for my meat chickens. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't start doing this stuff earlier. Using these logs, all this lumber I have back here, it's in pretty darn good shape. Why didn't I think to use it earlier? I don't know. You know, everywhere I look, there's wood I can use. It's still perfectly functional wood for me to put to use on the homestead. Why not? Tall boy, that's for sure. Thank you much. As you can see, I've been at this for a little while today, and I could honestly keep going because this is a blast. It's really fun finding trees that look right, and it's a bonus because I'm clearing land at the same time back there where it needs to be cleared anyway. So 2 birds, 1 stone. We've got ourselves some great wood to reuse. But like I said, I could just keep doing this all day, but I've got to frame out a roost. So let me find an old 2x4 to serve as the sides of my elevated roost platform, and let's make it real quick. So I think I found something that'll work. This old piece of barn wood. It's got some nails in it. It's too skinny for any barn reclamation projects that I was thinking of. I've got a bunch of wider ones up there that I'll use for that. But I think what I'm gonna do is cut this in 4 foot or so lengths. Take out these nails, of course. Screw some of these rungs in between it. I think that will serve my purposes just fine. Somebody once told me that an average chicken needs about a shock sign's worth of space on a roosting bar. So I went through and counted it, and each bar can fit approximately 8 chickens. So with 4 bars, that's 32 chickens. I don't intend to get more than 20 of these breast chickens, at least initially. So for my first run, my first couple of runs of these breast chickens, this roosting platform will be more than adequate for the birds that I need. I really like how this thing looks. It's nice and solid. It's functional. There's a certain kind of rustic aesthetic to this thing that I really like. Now, we're actually gonna put it into the intended, we're not gonna mount it, we're not gonna hang it yet, but we're gonna put it in the stall just to see how it fits. I think that will be instructive for us. All right, it fits just fine. It fits great. And I'm thinking, like I said before, about hanging this, I don't know, maybe 2 feet off the ground, mounting it to the ceiling with chains. It's eye hooks and chains. It's not going to be very, very complicated at all. And like I said, just boop, somewhere about right there. And I think that will give the chickens more than enough room to roost. Now, I'm not going to keep this thing in here because I still have a lot of work to do in here. So what's next? Let's talk about it. So one thing I neglected to mention in my previous video, if you're going to put chickens inside of a barn, stall, you need to make sure that that barn stall is sealed off as much as possible to prevent raccoons and weasels and even big rats from getting in and having their way with those chickens and demolishing a flock. You hear too many stories of people that wake up one morning and their entire flock is gone because a wily raccoon got into the coop, things like that. So I didn't mention it in the previous video, but I need to seal off a lot of these openings. This barn stall is pretty open and airy to the rest of the barn, so I need to run through it with as much chicken wire as possible to cover up a lot of these gaps that look like this. One of the unfortunate things I need to do in order to get the chicken wire put up is take down this hay crib, whatever you want to call this manger, which is a beautiful, beautiful piece of barn infrastructure. It looks great, but I need to take it down because I need to cover up this whole corner with chicken wire. So that's what I'm going to do now. Where to begin? This thing is in there. I've got half a mind to take a Sawzall to this, unfortunately. It'd be a lot easier. I'm kind of sad about having to take down this old hay crib, but you got to do what you got to do. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and keep as much of it as I can intact and hold on to it so I can rehang it should I ever have a hay-eating animal in this stall again, but have to do it. The first rule of using a Sawzall is make sure that whatever you're Sawzalling doesn't fall on you. I don't think this thing's gonna fall on me. I think it's held in pretty snugly up there, but I'm getting it loose. That nail's in there good. So the one thing holding this whole assembly up is that nail. And all the wood around it is breaking. Come on now. There we go. That felt good. Not as good as chopping down a giant dead tree in the back pasture, but it felt good. Now begins the lengthy and hopefully not too cumbersome process of hanging up the chicken wire. And usually I've found for me, the best way to mount chicken wire is with a good old-fashioned industrial stapler, which I've used to great effect with this chicken wire. Now, the thing about chicken wire is it's not easy to handle. It's very sharp, it's very pokey. I'm gonna put some gloves on. But once it's up and it's tight and it's secure, it's generally pretty stable. It'll last a while. Now, pernicious animals that are very persistent rather, can pick at it. But in general, it's gonna keep a curious predator away from things like chicken coops because it's just too much trouble, especially if you hang a lot of it. I gotta hang a lot of it. And so there's no other way to do this than just to do it. So let's go. And it's important when you're working with chicken wire to give yourself a lot of overlap between the various pieces or the various strips that you have set up. And make sure it's as tight as possible. Like I said, it's very, very cumbersome to work with, but once you've got it set up, you shouldn't have to mess with it too much. And before you put a staple in or a poultry nail or whatever it is, a wire nail, make sure you're pulling it as tight as you can. Okay, it's kind of hard to see in this light, but you can get a sense for the task I have in front of me. Basically, I'm going to run through this with as many staples as I can so that this doesn't wobble, that this is just nice and skin tight. And then I got to do that wherever there's open slats. I'm not going to show that whole process to you, folks. I know you like watching me work. Especially that dear commenter that said, less talking, more working. Well, I hope you're satisfied because I'm doing a lot of working here. I'm not going to show you all of it, but there's a lot to do. So I think that's going to be my next big project in between, in the mornings and when I have time at breaks at work. I want to get this wrapped, essentially. I want to get this shrouded in chicken wire. I need to buy a couple more rolls. I just have that one roll. And some more staples, but I think this is going to look nice. And you know what? I'll tell you what, now that I've removed the hay crib, the manger, it seems a lot more open in area in here. So between getting the roost platform complete, wrapping this area in chicken wire, getting another fence to put out there, I'll have this as meat chicken home base, and I think we're off to a pretty good start. All right, things are in full swing. And the chicks, the first batch of chicks, the Kramer chicks, are set to hatch this week. So I think we're ready for them. The brooder's all set up and good to go. And it's just getting that next stall over in working order for the next round of chicks, which we're going to get, which is going to be the breast chickens. I know I had mentioned turkeys a few weeks ago, how I want to get a turkey program running. And that, sorry guys, that program is still something that we're going to run and that I'm very excited to run. But with the chicks coming, I got to get them rolling. So I think what I'm going to do once the chicks are done in their brooder, the initial round of chicks are done in their brooder, the Kramer chicks, I'm going to put them in here in the A-frame. And this will be their hangout spot. Now the breast chickens, obviously, they're going to live in that barn stall. But you know what? I think we're cooking. I haven't devoted any video time to the plant starts, the seed starts that we've been planning for and getting going. I'll probably get a video or a video segment on that here soon, just to give you an idea of what we're doing. It's a little bit different this year. Hint, we may skip squash entirely this year. We haven't decided yet, but to just give our garden a 1-year break from the squash bugs. That's something we'll talk about here in future episodes. Hey, Lenny. Hey, buddy. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me on this Work With Me Wednesday. It's been, like I said, very busy. There's a lot of work to do. And there's going to be a lot more work to do in the next few weeks to gear up for spring. So appreciate you sticking with me. Appreciate you hanging out with me. And until we see you again next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly. What'd you think of that tree, Dad?
Oh, it put up a fight.
Yes, it did. Well, with our tiny little husky.
Yeah, I mean, it did the job, but...
Well, it fell in a pretty perfect spot, I think.
Yes. We were really doubtful as to what direction it was leaning.
It went right where the wedge was, or the notch.
Yeah. So some work cut out for me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the topmost part. I think down here on the bottom there's still some life to it.